The topic today is modal auxiliares or modal verbs. The modal verbs are a special group of auxiliary verbs that expresses that the speaker's attitude, ability, obligation, or possibility. Their auxiliary nature gives from them the five very right grammatical characteristics that distinguish them from ordinary verbs. They modify other verbs. Their main function is alter the meaning of the main verb they accompany. This main verb must always be in the base form. Infinitive without to. They do not combine with other modals. Only one modal verb can be used at the time for per verb phrase. For example, it is incorrect to say you must can go. Okay, must and cannot be combined. They do not have a gerund. Modals can ending in ink. They are now forms like canning or musting. Okay, they do not have a participle. They do not have past or present participle forms. That is, they do not exist as canon attributed. This means they also do not have components like the present perfect. They do not need an auxiliary verb to negate or ask. The modals act as their own auxiliaries do for negation or questions, simply and edit, note, or invert the position with the subject. The auxiliary verbs do or deeds are not used. The use of modal verbs in affirmative sentence follows a very simple and fixed structure in English. The case is that the modal verb by itself is not conjugating or requires another verb in a specific form. The conjugations are more precisely the formation of the verb phrase is done as follows: subject plus modal verb plus main verb, infinitive without to. Explanation of the component subject. First component, this is the person or thing that performs the actions. I, you, him, she, we, they, or any word or some noun. The modal verb, this is placed in mediality of the subject. Crucially, the modal verb never change its form. Is do not add is it or ing regardless of the subject. The main verb infinitive without to. This is the verb that expresses the actual action. Study, go, swimming, is must always be in is by form. That is without the participle to. This simple changing structure makes modal grammatical very consistent and easy to use once their functions in understood. Forming a negative sentence with a modal verb is very easy because modal acts as their own auxiliary, meaning you don't need it. You use do or does. Simply maintain the affirmative structure and add the negation. Therefore, the formula for constructing a negative sentence with a modal verb is as follows: subject plus modal verb plus not plus main verb, infinitive without to. In the formula presented, where is says verb is specifically refers to the modal verb. To maintain the base structure, begin with the subject. To add the negation immediately after the modal verb, add the participle not. The main actions verb remains its infinitive form without to, the base form, just as in the affirmative. The term or on an affirmative sentence containing a modal verb into a question. English uses the process of inversion between the subject and the auxiliary verb, which indicates in the modal verb itself. The formula for constructing a question with a modal is as follows: modal verb plus subject plus main verb infinitive without to plus question mark. Step by step instructions. Start with the modal. The question must begin with the modal verb can, should, may. This immediately indicates that it is a question. Subject the subject of the sentence move the position immediately after the modal verb. The main verb, the main action, the remains of the infinitive form without to base form, used as affirmative and negative sentence. When the modal verb begins the sentence, it functions as the auxiliary for the questions, eliminating the need to use do, does, did. This produces close responses, yes, no questions. The modal verb can is one of the most common modal verbs in English. It is the primary meaning is to be able to. It is used to express various nuances focusing on ability, possibility, or request. Can can be used for three main functions. Ability to express that someone is capable of doing something and has the skill or is quality to do it. Okay. Generally, possibility to indicate that something is possible or can occur under certain conditions. Although may or might are often used for specific possibilities. Requires informal to ask for permission or request help informally. The following illustrate the use in the context, including the examples provided in the presentation. Ability, ability. For example, I can speak, file, and wash. I have the ability to speak, file, and wash. We can work late tonight if you need us. We have the ability to work late if you need us. To express a general possibility, and the restaurant might be expensive if you drink a lot of wine. There is a general possibility that the restaurant will be expensive under the condition. Um, may I borrow your pen? Informal records. The moral verb should is one of the most useful because it allows you advise politely and talk about what is right or expected. Its meaning in Spanish is debería, should. What is should used for? We should mainly for three things: making suggestion of giving advice. This is the most common function. It's used to say what you think a good idea of the best course of action. Expressing opinions and meal obligations is used to talk about moral duty or obligation, but it's not as strong as marks, which is strict obligation or rule. It is more like a should be. General general think expectations to talk about something that is expected to happen that should be happening now or in the future. Let's look at these examples to better understand this modal verb. Generally, advice or opinion. You should call my parents more often. I should wear a jacket. It's cold outside. And question, asking for advice or a suggestion. Where should they meet you? For expectations, the train should arrive at 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. The modal verbs max is used to express and strong ideas, almost always related to routes, internal obligations, or logical deductions. In Spanish, it translates is debe or tener que. Its main function of must has three key functions. Obligation is used to indicate an obligation that arises from an internal lead or that the speaker considers absolutely essential. Prohibition, when used in this negative form, um, a must not or mustn't. It's expressing or a strict prohibition of something that is strictly forbidden to do. And deduction to indicate that one has reached the conclusion that something is true with a high degree of certainty. Example, that must be true. And the examples in the presentation illustrate obligation and prohibition. First example, obligation. You must read this book. The speaker thinks it is essential. You must brush your teeth twice a day. Prohibition must not. You must not drink or drive. It is forbidden to drink and drive by a strict prohibition or a legal rule. The negative form is crucial to note the difference between the negation of must and must and that have to. Must not means prohibition. You must not do this under any circumstance. Don't have me a means advance of obligation. You don't have to do it, but you can if you want. It's it's important to use must when you want to express a very strong obligation or prohibition. Always remember to follow it with the main verb is the base form. The modal verb may is essential. A verb is possibility or permission. Its use is often more formal and less common than can, especially when talking about probability. May has two main functions which apply to both the present and the future, indicate probability or possibility. It is used to express that something is possible, probable, and uncertain. The degree of certainty is moderate, often higher than with might. Requesting of written permission is used to ask for a give permission in a formal or polite manner. The following examples perfectly illustrate probability and permission. I may go out tonight. I have the possibility of going out. Possibility negative. I may not go to the park if it rains. Okay. Permission interrogative. May I speak with you? This is a formal and polite request. Thank you for your attention and taking the time to learn. I hope you can apply some of the words of phrases you've learned in this lesson.